Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here again, digging into sources to pull out those nuggets of knowledge that help you get truly well-informed. Today, we're taking a really interesting journey, actually, right into the heart of how we interact socially. Can Emily Post, writing way back over a century ago, can her wisdom actually give us a usable blueprint for today's social world, which is, let's face it, hyper-connected, but sometimes feels really disconnected? So we're diving deep into her lessons on social life, looking at chapters 21 through 30, exploring what she called the art of gathering.
It really is an art, isn't it? Because, when we get together, maybe it's just a casual dinner, maybe it's something huge like a wedding. Our manners, they're not just about how we look. What's really striking, I think, is that they almost act like a social technology. They're actively shaping the whole experience for everyone there, often kind of beneath the surface. We don't always notice. So this deep dive, it's going to show how good etiquette isn't about being stuffy, not at all. It's really about creating interactions that are genuinely joyful, memorable, and crucially comfortable. It sort of smooths the way before friction even starts.
Okay, right. Let's unpack this. I think we can all relate to this scenario. Imagine you've been invited to a dinner party. Your host, they've spent hours prepping. Everything looks lovely, smells great. Guests start arriving. Some are on time. Great. But others are, well, fashionably late, or maybe just plain late. Then, surprise. Someone turns up who totally forgot to RSVP. And, through the evening, maybe one guest just holds court, talking over everyone, while someone else is practically glued to the corner, not talking to anyone. What should feel like a fun, celebratory evening can actually end up feeling pretty stressful for everyone.
Exactly. It just gets riddled with stress and awkwardness, doesn't it, when it should have been delightful. And that's precisely why Emily Post thought social etiquette was so vital. Her core idea, it really boils down to two things: consideration and generosity. But for Post, consideration wasn't just, be nice. It was more proactive. It was about anticipating how others might feel, trying to ensure their comfort before they even feel uncomfortable. And generosity wasn't just about, say, the food you serve. It was generosity of spirit, of attention, of time. And that's where the magic happens, you could say. Good manners, when you see them like this, they don't just stop bad things happening. They act like a social lubricant. It reduces the mental effort, minimizes awkwardness, and it actually primes people for positive interactions. It's like a pre-agreed code that lets real connection happen. It multiplies the joy.
That's a really powerful way to reframe it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it does feel like just a bunch of arbitrary rules, right? So, okay, let's start right at the beginning. The invitation. What did Post have to say about this first step? And how might it surprise us now in our, much more casual culture?
Oh, she was crystal clear. And for very good reason. For the guest, the big responsibility, always respond promptly. And it wasn't just about being convenient for the host. It was about respecting their investment, their time, their money, their emotional energy in getting ready for you. So leaving them hanging, that's a subtle but real sign of disrespect. And you know that maybe button on evites.
All right.
Post would likely see that as, well, a challenge to the whole idea of making a clear commitment.
I can almost hear her tutting.
Yeah.
It really is like clicking maybe is the ultimate way to avoid committing, isn't it? It leaves the host completely guessing. They can't figure out numbers for food or seating or even just the feel of the party. And it's not just the maybe. If you do say yes, Post insisted you follow through, bailing last minute, unless it's a real emergency. It just puts the host in such a difficult position. They've already factored you in.
Absolutely. And, the responsibility isn't only on the guest. Hosts have a part to play, too, in setting things up right. Their invitations need to be clear, not just clear for clarity's sake, but clear as a kind of gift to the guest, the gift of predictability. What kind of party is it? Is there a dress code? And crucially, clear start times, and yes, end times are helpful, too. That vague, ooh, just come over sometime. Post would argue that's not really an invitation. It's more like a suggestion. It leaves guests unsure, which can lead to exactly the problems we want to avoid, like people showing up too late or staying too long. Real generosity from a host starts with clear signals.
Okay, so it sounds like whether you're the one sending it or the one getting it, clarity and promptness from both sides, they're not just nice to have, they're the bedrock, the foundation for a good event built on mutual respect. Which leads us right into the guest role once they've accepted and shown up. Post's number one rule here, you said, is gratitude. But why gratitude above everything else? How did she see that?
Well, for Post, gratitude wasn't just a passive feeling like, oh, thanks. It was an active stance, a way you participate. When you accept an invitation, you're accepting someone's generosity. So showing appreciation is key. And it starts the moment you arrive. Aim to be on time. That means not, half an hour early. That can really throw a host off when they're doing last-minute things, and definitely not an hour late. That disrupts everything for everyone else, too. It's about respecting the host's investment in the whole event.
And what about bringing a little something? That token of thanks, is that like an obligation or is it something else?
It's never really an obligation, but it's certainly a lovely symbol of appreciation, a small, thoughtful gift.
Like flowers or wine?
Exactly. Flowers, wine, maybe even just a really nicely written note. The point isn't how much it costs, it's the thought behind it. It acknowledges the effort and, yes, the expense the host has already gone to. And then, once you're actually inside, remember to mingle. A truly good guest doesn't just stick with the person they came with or hide in a corner. Introduce yourself, join different groups, actively help create that warm, welcoming vibe. You're sort of extending the host's welcome yourself.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah.
One of Emily Post's golden rules for guests
Yeah.
when no one is time to leave. She famously warned, don't overstay your welcome.
Yeah.
I think many of us, myself included, have probably been guilty of this one. What's the deeper thing here? Is it just about not tiring out the host?
It's actually quite profound, this rule. It's not just about the host being tired, though that's part of it. Post saw it as a subtle shift in, power dynamics. A guest who stays too long, even if they mean well, can sort of accidentally shift the burden. The host suddenly feels responsible for entertaining them long after the main event is over. Kind of reverses the initial act of generosity. Making a gracious exit, on the other hand, leaves the host feeling appreciated and relieved, not exhausted, and secretly wishing you'd leave. It shows huge respect for their time, their effort, and their boundaries.
So, bringing this to today, we live in more casual times. You hear stories, don't you? Guests treating a host's home almost like it's an Airbnb.
Oh, yes.
Feet up on the sofa, maybe rummaging in the fridge without asking, ignoring basic house rules. It feels like a complete lack of respect for personal space.
Totally. And Post would have been, appalled. She'd insist you treat the space with a kind of reverence, almost as if it were sacred, because to the host, it is their personal haven. They've opened their sanctuary to you. That's a big act of trust and generosity. So disrespect that space is really disrespecting the host directly. This idea of reverence for someone's home, asking before you take something, tidying up a bit after yourself, offering to help clear plates. These aren't just empty gestures. They're active ways of showing that fundamental consideration and gratitude we keep talking about.
Right. Okay, now let's flip it. Let's look at the host side. If guests need to show gratitude, what did Post say was the host's main job?
The host's primary job, according to Emily Post, is fundamentally to create comfort for their guests. That starts way before the party, with thoughtful planning, but it really comes alive in the warm welcome they offer. A good host makes a point of greeting each guest properly, making introductions to help people connect who might not know each other. And they pay special attention to maybe the quieter people, the ones hanging back, helping draw them into conversations. It's like actively curating the social energy of the room. A generosity of attention.
So it's not really about showing off.
Yeah.
Not about having the fanciest food or the most expensive decorations.
Not at all.
All right.
True hospitality, in Post's view, wasn't about impressing people with luxury. It was about the genuine act of making everyone feel included, feel valued, feel at ease. And what's really insightful is her very practical advice on things like food and drink. She basically urged hosts, serve what you can genuinely afford and do it graciously. Don't stretch yourself thin just to put on a show. She famously said something like, a bowl of soup offered with warmth is better than a feast offered with stress. That really speaks to the heart of it, doesn't it? The authenticity of the welcome matters more than the material display. Plus, let's be honest, a stressed out host makes for a stressed out party.
And things do go wrong, right? It's inevitable when you're hosting. The souffle collapses, the seating chart feels awkward. But the key is, the host sets the tone. A little laugh, being flexible, staying calm that can turn a potential disaster into just a funny story later. Keeps everything feeling light and joyful. It's almost like leadership in a way.
You've absolutely hit on something crucial there. It all ties back to that core principle. Hospitality, as Emily Post put it so beautifully, is generosity in action. It's not just a nice idea. It's a series of conscious choices, deliberate actions, all designed to put other people first and make sure they feel comfortable and happy. It's a skill, really, when you practice and get better at.
Now, Emily Post, she wrote a lot about the specifics of, formal dinners, big parties, dances, the kind of social highlights of her time. Seems a bit dated now, maybe. But what's the deeper insight? What's the nugget for us today, hidden under all those seemingly rigid rules?
The deeper insight, I believe, is all about presence. An intentional connection. Think about her detailed rules for dinner conversation. Engage with people across the table. Don't just talk to the person next to you.
Right.
That wasn't about being bossy. It was about creating a shared focus, making sure everyone felt included in the group experience. At parties, circulating wasn't just about moving around. It was about distributing your attention generously, making sure nobody felt stuck or ignored. And her timeless advice on moderation, especially with alcohol, way before we talked about party culture the way we do now,
Yeah.
that was about respecting everyone's comfort and safety, recognizing that a guest who overindulges and becomes a problem isn't really a guest anymore. They're disrupting the atmosphere for everybody else.
Wow. Okay, so if we connect that to today, her advice on presence hits differently, doesn't it? Like, think about weddings now. Put your phone down.
Yeah.
Let the couple actually see happy, engaged faces looking back at them, not just a wall of screens recording everything, or on the dance floor, maybe leave some space for people to actually dance and connect, instead of everyone just filming for their TikTok feed.
Exactly. That's the risk, isn't it? In our modern culture, where everything feels like it needs to be performed or documented for some unseen audience, we can lose the profound value of just being there. Post's core message, if you distill it, is really this. Celebrations are fundamentally about connection, not documentation. They're about sharing experiences in the moment, building real bonds, not just creating content. There's a psychological cost, to constantly documenting. We can end up feeling detached from the very thing we're trying to capture.
And speaking of big events, weddings. Emily Post called them the crown jewel of social etiquette. Makes sense. And her principles there, and for other big ceremonies, they seem just as relevant today.
Oh, absolutely. For wedding guests, the key points haven't changed much. RSVP pronto. Follow the dress code if there is one. And crucially, always remember the day is about the couple, not you. That means, don't make big personal announcements, and definitely don't plaster photos all over social media before the couple has had a chance to share their own. Let them have their moment. And for the hosts, again, hospitality is key. Doesn't matter if it's a huge, lavish affair or something small and simple. What really counts is making every single guest feel genuinely included and celebrated. And this whole idea, being present, being respectful, it applies just as much to other big life moments, joyful ones like baptisms or graduations, and solemn ones like funerals. Post understood these are times when we come together to affirm something important. Our presence, our appropriate behavior, it supports and honors the people at the heart of it. Even things like her detailed discussion on calling cards, which seem totally archaic now underneath the formality, the real point was about having a clear, respectful way to make initial contact and signal you were socially available. It's a principle we're still wrestling with in the digital age, deciding who gets our attention and how.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. This deep dive into the art of gathering and to social etiquette. Let's recap maybe 4 key takeaways from Emily Post that still really hit home. First, invitations and RSVPs. They're not just fluff. They're a social contract. They set the stage for respect and predictability. Second, good guests bring active gratitude. Good hosts offer proactive generosity, actively working to make people feel comfortable and included. Third, big events like dinners, parties, weddings, they're fundamentally about real, in-the-moment connection, not about showing off or documenting every second. And finally, maybe the most important one, at any social event, the big question to ask yourself is, am I helping create a space where others feel comfortable and psychologically safe?
Yeah, that really sums it up. Which leads to an important question for you, our listener. Here's your challenge for the week. The very next time you get invited to any kind of gathering, could be a formal dinner, could be a birthday party, could just be drinks with friends, try practicing just one piece of Emily Post's advice, but with this deeper understanding of the why behind it. Maybe it's sending that RSVP back the same day you get it. Think of it as giving your host the gift of certainty. Or maybe it's bringing a small, truly thoughtful gift that shows you genuinely appreciate their effort. Or perhaps it's consciously making an effort to circulate, to talk to someone who looks a bit on the edge of things, offering that generosity of attention.
And as you try this, just notice. Notice how these small, intentional actions change things, not just for the other people, but how it makes you feel. It can foster a deeper sense of connection, of belonging, and really lift the whole mood of the gathering. It can be genuinely transformative.
Because ultimately that's the point, isn't it? Good manners, they aren't about following stiff, old-fashioned rules just for the sake of it. They're about something much deeper. They're about generosity, respect, and a real desire to make life better, more comfortable, more joyful for everyone around you. They're actually a tool for human flourishing.